Well, hello there, everyone. It is Monday, December the 27th in the year 2021. So it's countdown time to 2022. Got any plans for New Year's Eve? If you do, this leads me to my next topic. Stay safe in everything you do. Why do I bring this up? Well, a couple different things have happened in just the last week or so. I'll start with a very small story about myself. Last week, my youngest son and I went out kayaking, and the water is extra low in the wintertime. I was told that, in the wintertime the water gets lower, so it was lower, which means my old rinky-dink dock, it was probably, 4 feet from the dock level to the surface of the water below. So, when you get in the kayak, then you got to go down, you step down into it. When you get back, you got to kind of get back up. When I stood up, I think it was right about there to my chest. So I'm 5'10". I was 4 feet. I was probably standing on the floor of the kayak, which might have been slightly below the surface of the water, maybe by a bit. So anyway, my son was in front. We have a tandem kayak. My son was in the front seat. I told him to get out first. In hindsight, maybe we should have done it the reverse order, but it is what it is. But then he got out just fine. He's young, athletic, just fine. I'm old, decrepit. So when I go to get out, what I remember doing was kind of thinking, how am I going to do this? I reach up to the dock, and it seemed like I had to raise up, whoever it was. And I can remember pulling myself up, standing up, and I was standing. And at that point, I'm not quite clear what happened exactly. My son and the missus were witnesses. They told me. My son told me because he was standing towards the front on the dock holding the rope, and he told me what happened was the rear tip of the kayak, it was resting against the piling. And with me moving, it slipped off the piling, and the rear of the boat started moving under the dock. And what I remember is all of a sudden I was going like this, and I was twisted around, and I was holding on to the dock, and the boat was pushing away from my feet, and I was holding on, and I was like, whoa, help. And somehow between the missus and my wife, we kind of got me straightened out and got me up on there. But it would have been minor, but I was very close to falling backwards. I would have fallen backwards into the water. The water wasn't deep. I wouldn't have drowned or anything, but it is a canal. It's dirty. If I had fallen backwards, it would have been a surprise. I had a life vest on. What would have happened? I don't know what would have happened. So, but I was okay, and I wasn't sore, bruised up, scraped up, nothing like that. So it all worked out just fine. Learning experience. From here on until my dock gets rebuilt, I will depart from that kayak in a slightly different position, which would be a safer position. So live and learn. Another thing that happened just the other day, recently, was on last week. I had a cousin, an aunt, and 2 other cousins all contracted COVID. The younger folks are all going to be okay. My aunt, or as some parts of the country say aunt, she's 83 years old. She had an underlying health condition. She ended up going to the hospital, and she refused to go to the hospital at first, but she ended up going to the hospital. Then in the hospital, she had breathing issues. Her oxygen was extremely low. And then they wanted to put her on a ventilator, and she refused, and she did pass away. So she passed away on Christmas Eve. So that was because of COVID. There are still people. I met someone just recently I was chit-chatting with, and they told me, I don't think this COVID is really real. And I was like, let's not talk about it. If you don't think it's real, let's not even talk about it. It's real. I made a video a while back. My 18-year-old nephew got COVID. He's now 19. He will have lifelong issues because of getting COVID. He was in the hospital from January of 2021 until July of 2021. Okay, I had a distant cousin who was in his 90s, died of COVID. He was out on the West Coast. My spouse had workers who worked with her. They died of COVID. My aunt just died of COVID. So it's real. Things happen. Stay safe. A state trooper friend of mine, just I think yesterday, was on the side of the road. I'm not sure exactly what he was doing. Could have been an accident, could have been traffic control, could have been a variety of different things. I'm a retired cop. And his cruiser was rear-ended. And he sent a picture out of it. The rear end, it's an SUV. The rear end is kind of crunched up. People don't pay attention when they're driving. I see that constantly. People just don't pay attention. So he's safe. He said he's a little banged up. He was bruised up. He may be a little sore, but he's okay. All right. So, and then on YouTube, I subscribe to a variety of channels. And one is there's a Sunday morning show that's on one of the three major networks, CBS, ABC, NBC. It might be CBS. They have a Sunday morning show. It's been on for years, decades. And I guess I subscribe to it on YouTube because every Sunday I get a variety of segments from that show pop up as recommended. So usually what I watch on Sundays is the in memoriam type show where they show all the people that passed away in the previous week. So this one just the other day showed well-known folks who had passed away in 2021. And there was a lot. Every year there is. I see these lists every year of the famous people that died. There's a lot. There's athletes, there's movie stars, there's politicians, and on and on. And just well-known people, we don't really know their names, but we know of what they did. So just on and on. And many of them are elderly, like they're in their 90s. One gentleman was 109, I think. Others in their 80s, their 70s. Some are younger, in their 40s, in their 30s, in their 20s. Okay, so a variety of reasons. The elderly ones the elderly, we all die. We all are born, we all die. But in between, for a lot of folks out there, we can live longer lives than what we think we might live. Okay, you'll hear a lot of older people say something to the effect that, wow, if I had known I was going to live to be this old, I would have taken better care of myself when I was younger. Okay, and when you're older, it's easy to think that, but you can't go back in time. Okay, so that's why myself, like I've been drinking a daily cup of green tea for over 20 years now. I severely, majorly cut back on the consumption of alcohol. Like it's sort of rare that I drink anything at all. I've gone years without drinking it because I did drink it, more when I was younger. I had a car when I was a teenager, did not have seatbelts in it. I now always wear my seatbelt. When I drove a motorcycle, for 4 years on a street bike. I wore a helmet with a full helmet with a face shield, gloves, boots, long pants, long sleeve shirts, gloves, like I said. Because there's two kinds of motorcycle riders, those that will hit the ground and those that have hit the ground. All right, I hit the ground riding dirt bikes, but never hit the ground riding street bikes. But you got to be safe in all you do, okay? I'm the sort of person, I like to have fun. I like to kayak. I understand in kayaking there's a slight risk to it. My sons surf. I've been skydiving before. I've rode motorcycles before. I've ridden horses before. I was a cop for 20 years. I was in the Navy. I was in Operation Just Cause in the country of Panama. 8 Navy SEALs died during that endeavor. So it's just a caution to you, and I'm not really talking financial stuff, but it's just a caution. Be careful. Stay safe in all you do. If you live somewhere where it snows and you need to drive in it, think to yourself, do you really need to drive on that given day? Could you perhaps call in sick so you don't have to drive to work? If you're going to a store, could you postpone your trip for a different day? Because sometimes the day it snows, at least in Virginia where I was, not so much in Maine when I lived in Maine, because up there it just snowed constantly. But in Virginia when it snowed, there was always accidents, always. And the older I got, I came to realize, if I can reduce my driving on days like that, I'm not worried about myself wrecking, but somebody wrecking into me. So try to minimize the possibilities that you will have an accident. And I used to teach a class years ago how not to be a victim of crime. Okay, not saying all victims can eliminate the possibility of crime, but a lot of people can reduce the probability that they will become a victim just by doing simple things, by being aware of their surroundings, by locking their doors, locking their car doors. Don't start your car in the morning and leave the door unlocked. When I was working as a cop, we used to have stolen vehicles, not a lot, but when we did, 9 times out of 10, someone had started in the morning and walked back inside and the car was running and someone just got in and drove off, okay? Or even somebody at 7-Eleven, we had a stolen car there, somebody walked inside, left their car running in the parking lot. Someone gets in and drives off. Use common sense, folks. If you use common sense, you can minimize risk to yourself. Use common sense, get the vaccine. You'll minimize dying from COVID. Use common sense, wear your seatbelt, wear your helmet on a motorcycle, lock your doors. Just use common sense. And the odds will be greater that we'll all live a longer, more productive life, okay? I always figure there's a wild card in my family history. All four of my grandparents died in their 90s, from like age 91 to 93 or 94 was the top. My dad's still alive. He's in his late 70s. But then my mom died when she was 55. I'm now 54. That's one of the reasons why I tried to speed up the buying of real estate, because I did 0 to 25 in 4 years, in part because I didn't know if I would, same thing would happen to me that happened to my mom. So I sped up financial independence. I pushed to do it. Okay? But I encourage all of you, none of us know the future. So I encourage all of you to start investing, take care of yourself, maybe try out mud water. If you so desire, try out a cup of green tea if you so desire. But I encourage you to start investing, because by starting investing, you can have a better financial future. Maybe you don't become wealthy. Maybe you don't want to become wealthy, but you can have a better financial future. Okay? Alrighty, more interviews will be coming. I hope you watched yesterday's interview with Dominic. Or the other day I interviewed Robbie, who's buying my triplex. 2 great interviews, 2 gentlemen in different stages of their life. Robbie is buying his first rental property. Dominic owns 53 rental properties, and he is a high school teacher. So if you're working a blue collar job and you think, I can't buy real estate, watch Dominic's interview. High school teacher, he now owns 53 rental properties. I was a blue collar cop. I now own 25 rentals and other investments. Robbie is a small business owner. He's buying his first rental property. It's a triplex. There are more interviews coming. One of my bankers is lined up for sometime next week. So you'll hear from him next week. And there's others that will be coming hopefully later this week. Okay? All right. Y'all take care. Stay safe in all you do. Keep smiling, loving life. And it's countdown to 2022.